Let's see, we're counting down. Aha, golden. All right, friends, well, very glad to see you all here today. And we're going to begin our practice seated. Whether you knew in advance or not, there was a specific request again for happy making work for hips and backs, which we hope we see in all yoga practices, but that will be our very intentional aim today. What I would ask us to set as our collective intention is allowing this to be a really enlightening and gentle awakening of the body, gentle warming. So exploring. And I really like to talk commonly in yoga. There are a lot of things that you'll hear in a common yoga practice, and it's just not my choice of language often. Today I'm going to indulge a little bit and say that I would like us to have the opportunity to feel into the areas of our back and our hips. We inevitably feel them. Right now we can feel our back and our hips. But that full experience of moving our deep focus, that cellular, each cell, each muscle fiber, feeling into those areas with our intellect and our body, that'll be part of our collective purpose today, yeah? So that gentle exploration. Oh, hello, Buzzy Bee. So let's start seated and take just a few breaths here. Before we set into some breath work and really anchoring ourselves in our practice, with this easy exploration, we're going to begin some bending and extending knees, which will actually bring the hips into flexion as well. So let's take the legs out in front. Not yet really officially setting into our Sukhasana, that first pose. Some organic movement here. So let's begin. You can extend your right leg out. Rest it any way that's comfortable for you, but as neutral as possible from the hip. We'll then take that left heel in, drawing in toward the seat, using the arms as support, never to force the body. We can then begin to bring the hands beneath the thigh and slowly extend that leg out. It could be close to the earth or a little higher. What allows the back to be in neutral, what honors your energy. And let's just take about 5 more of these, your pace. Exhaling as we draw in, inhaling as we extend out. So incidentally, yeah, we're moving within the hip. Focus on freeing and warming the knee here. So we're taking about 6 of those total, 1 we did together, and then we're taking 5 of those individual fluid breaths, bending, heel drawing in, extending, heel pressing away gently. So awakening, warming the body. We can let that leg down when you're done. Let's move that right leg in. And hands come behind the thigh to support. Find your good height. There might be some sidedness. They don't have to be exactly left side and right side matching. And take those 5 breaths, inhaling out and exhaling to draw in. And when you come to the end of those rounds for you, let that right leg go. Let both knees bend. See if you can find purchase on your sit bones, that squareness. Lift to the center so we're feeling low belly draw in toward the back and up its length. Take a gentle rolling of your wrists. We're going to do one more thing before we kind of set into Sukhasana today. So take wrists both directions. Feel into the wrists today. We'll say it that way. And then go ahead and bring the fingers together or light fists and roll and notice. Some people will notice a different sensation in the wrists with hands open or closed. Maybe you don't feel it, but there will be a slight difference. Let's go ahead with a slight bend in the elbows. Hello, Daddy Long Legs. We're really in nature today. Let's go ahead and take our hands back. Fingers forward might be ideal, 45 for the hands if that's essential. Begin to bend your knees. Let's take feet about mat width or so and windshield wiper the knees side to side. Weight in the hips will become uneven, one side a little heavier than the other. And without getting too heady, too intellectual about it, see if you can connect this to your breath in some way. And slowly, slowly come to stillness. Breath in, breath out. Let's take the left leg long, heel on the earth. Think of keeping this out of the spine in a sense, spine neutral, another way to say that. Press into your hands, right foot rooting, both hips lifting a bit. Breath in, really press that left heel down, squeeze the left glute so we feel the forward area of the hip. Exhale, release. Extend that right leg, soften both knees. Inhale, extending to Dandasana. We'll reach up, keep the arms up. Think of dropping the upper arms a little bit, releasing the shoulder blades down the back, not pulling them down, just that natural release. And then exhaling, step hands back, soft micro bend in the elbows. Other side, left foot planting, right heel rooting. We inhale, begin to lift. So we're not looking to bring a big extension, a big back bend into the back, just that freedom through the long legs, hip. Work through the gluteus muscle on that side, and as you exhale, we'll release, come down. Press through the fingers, draw forward, spine to neutral, and then come to your cross-legged seat. Or another posture, if that serves you better. Feel very free to prop this. Yeah, anything you'd like. At home, you might be sitting, blankets, pillows, supporting knees, etc. Let's bring hands to the knees, light connection, weight in the elbows, lift through the center, tailbone to crown, lifting to maintain that neutrality, and begin to breathe in abdomen, ribs, chest, and breathing out, allowing the release of the chest, gently drawing in the ribs and navel toward the spine. Take a few rounds right here, and today we have the gift of a little bit of organic movement as we set into our Sukhasana. We have that collective intention, right? Easy exploration, warming and awakening the whole body, maybe most especially hips and back today. And then determine if there's another intention for your work that arises. Just notice if that's so for you. Take a few deep breaths just this way, yogic 3-part breath. Abdomen, ribs, chest, and chest expanding more outward, less lifting. Decide if it would be okay today to switch the crossing of your ankles. If there's no dis-ease in the knees, ankles, go ahead, take Sukhasana the other direction. Symmetry, working with both sides. That's here, begin to draw the low ribs in, lift the low abdomen, and shift the eyes down just forward of the ankles as you send the navel back, creating a slight rounding in the back. And rolling forward on sit bones, tops of the hips forward, begin to lift that engaged low abdomen, lift the heart, a very slight lifting of the chin. So think of moving primarily around the abdominal area, low back, freeing without a lot of movement in the spine. So how does this happen? With the breath, feeling into the back, lifting the ribs. Begin to wave that arch and curl up the back a little more generously, sharing that experience with the shoulders as they draw back and together, heart lifts. As they spread apart, we can take breath between the low areas of the shoulder blades as we look down and round. So follow, again, your own breath here. That's Svatiyaya, self-study in this moment, noticing. And slowly we're going to just really sail into fluidly our torso rotation. So next time you curl back, breathing in will bring heart toward your left knee. Not going that far, but in that direction, heart toward that side, across the front toward the right. And exhale, belly back. So taking that kind of serpentine rotation. And you can imagine a descriptor I really love for this that I find really descriptive and impactful. Imagine your heart were to be dripping paint and it would leave about a circle. Don't get too stuck on that exact circle. It's not art class and the paint's just imaginary, but a rounded shape, ribs moving over the hips, body moving in concert with the breath. If you come into that forward direction and you feel less than grounded, consider flexion in the feet, rooting down the outer edges of the feet. We'll go one or two more times this direction. Determine what you need. And then come slowly to stillness. And inhale, heart toward the right. Cross the front to the left, exhaling belly back. Now if you can do these with eyes closed and the dristi, that visual focus up between the eyebrows, all the better. Yeah. But if not, if eyes open is your practice today, that too is just fine. That would be just fine. Take another round or two with your breath, inhaling forward, exhaling back. Probably now we have some data, some information about back, hips as we move forward. Let's come to stillness and take just a few simple breaths here. If you could, turn the palms to face the sky now. Lift the sternum a little more earnestly. Lift the back of the crown, jaw, forehead soft. Let's begin to take the right leg up. So I'm on a little uneven ground, so I'm going to do the yoga shuffle and shift over a bit. Find a nice spot for you. Let's begin to lift that right leg. Depending on our own hip, the anatomy, our muscles, we might be taking the leg quite far away from us. Some might find we're grasping heel and knee a little closer to the body. So decide what's useful for you today. Again, at home, we could be lifted on some elevation, yeah? Begin to move that leg a little low, a little in the middle, a little high. Yes, exploring range of motion. And if this pose is one that you like to take hands to wrap around the leg, keep that foot flexed. If you're seating the foot in the crook of that left elbow, really flex the foot and press the outer edge of that foot into the left elbow as you lift heart with this movement. So if you say no thank you to that, hand works beautifully. You don't need to go for that elbow. If you say no thanks, still keep the foot flexed. See what that feels like for you. It will bring some greater integrity to the knee. It will change, I won't say if it's good, bad, more or less, but it'll change the experience in the hip. Go ahead, let that go. And as you come back to your Sukhasana, return to easy pose. Feel one hip, the other hip, and then we're going to take that left leg up. Same good work, other side. So you can start with the heel, the ankle, everything fairly soft. We're moving a little low, little in the middle, a little high. Just really, again, exploring that range of motion, getting some feedback from sensation. Maybe we seat that knee in the crook of its elbow, outer edge of the foot into opposite elbow, if that's you today. Yeah. Slow breath here. And we'll begin to release, find our end, and come then into Balasana, child's pose. So notice your back. If low back has been tender, consider going into variation with knees closer together, supporting the torso, even if it feels like we have to also elevate the head. So we'll get a different experience in our body if we take knees wide or not. And we'll go into child's pose more than once within our practice today. So maybe this is the day to say, what does that feel like when I bring the knees in so they're under, maybe the side ribs are fully together beneath the torso, or when I widen out, experiencing some more spinal extension or a back bend. So think of the hips here and begin to think of the hip creases, that very forward area of the hip joint. Take your felt experience into those hip creases and allow yourself, without necessarily working any differently or more than you are now, that deep experience of flexion at the hips. And again, maybe nothing physical, nothing anatomical with the skeleton much changes. Think of sit bones, heavy to the earth. And as we breathe, a broadening of the gluteal muscles, an expansion, a release of the gluteal muscles here. Take another 3 deep breaths in this pose, in this experience of this pose. And please slowly begin to find your way up to down dog. And I actually don't love it when teachers say, find your way up, because I say, how? Tell me. Begin to lift the hips. We'll rise, coming all fours. into tabletop. Here, begin to turn your knees under as you root through that V created by index finger and thumb. Engage the abdomen to support low back. So we're switching on that whole band of muscles around the navel, side waist, low back. Begin to shift the hips back and unfold the legs much of the way. Keep some of that bend in the knees today. So not a full extension. Keep some of the bend in the knees. Press into the pads of the fingers, into the big knuckles that connect fingers to palms. Think of the shoulder blades coming almost to the outside without moving them, hugging into the side ribs. Yeah, take another 2 breaths right here. Downward facing dog. Begin a little bit of pedaling, lifting and lowering. One heel, and then the other as you lift the sit bones. That's breathing in. Take right foot off of the earth. 3-leg dog, a little or a lot. Keep those hands pressing squarely into the earth. And then we're looking to step forward, preparing for warrior 1. Engage to the center, so abdomen is supported, bandha is switched on. We might take one fluid step or feel very free if it's in line with your practice to walk that foot out to the side. Take your time, right foot out to the side. We can then turn that left heel in line and begin to lift. So notice as we rise and feel very free to walk the hands up the thigh, knee over ankle in the front. Coming up to warrior 1, hands may extend toward the sky, or if it's better, hands on that front thigh. Let's take our attention to our grounded points. Notice your back foot. If you're feeling any sensation in your low back now that is less than we would want to experience, different, I dare say untoward sensation, feel very free to move that right foot out to the right. Attend to those SI areas, yeah? And we can soften that left hip forward as we keep right knee over right ankle. Think of softening that right hip backward. See if you can lift the toes of the back foot. Maybe just mentally, they don't have to come off of the mat, but create a lift so the inner arch draws up, outer edge of the foot roots to the earth. Think of hips also. If you have any more space for further thought, think of hips drawing together across the body. Keep that cohesiveness and begin to extend the forward leg. You can go full extension or most of the way. So as we draw on that engagement again through center and all those points we decided would be engaged, bring the knee over the ankle again. Find your mind in the outer edges of both feet, across the balls of the feet, inside and outside edges. Hips drawing back, hip forward, forward hip gently back so they become square. Feet pressing down. Let's go warrior 2. Back foot can shift. We're looking anywhere between there and 90 degrees, but you might keep an angle. So bring the arms out level with the earth. Feel the right positioning now for your back foot. And if you're a real traditionalist, yeah, I've always favored that 90 degree, but the back foot can be turned in ever so slightly. And think of the thighs hugging into the thigh bones. Lift the ribs from the hips as we look past those right fingers. Full breath right here. We're going to move Trikonasana into triangle pose. Begin to extend that forward leg. Keep 2% or 1.5% bend in the front leg. We can extend that right arm forward, turn the palms same direction as the chest, and begin to come over. And when we find that the ribs and the torso, the spine stop in relationship to the pelvis, we can extend the arms so we float that hand away from the leg, or if you choose and you feel more anchored, hand can come to the block or the inner leg, and that left arm extending toward the sky. Find your feet on the mat again. Draw the feet as if toward one another magnetically. Feel that left thigh gently move back, so we're sending the thigh bone back. Again, that thought of lifting rib cage away from hips. So inhale, slowly we'll begin to lift up. Return to warrior 2. Bending the knee, extend the arms, press the feet down. Integrity through center, so warrior 2. Take a breath. And then we're finding our way into plank. I'll tell you how if you're to follow me. If you say, I know the way, that's just fine too. We can lift the back heel. Take that right hand and left to the earth, looking down. A foot can come out to the side if that honors your hip, or straight back. Plank position. Full breath in, full breath out. If you need a little respite, knees lower, child's pose. Otherwise, we're shifting back down facing dog. If you need less space between hands and feet, leave the hands, adjust the feet if you could. Take a few breaths right here. So we're thinking of skeleton staying, activating muscles. Imagine you were spinning your inner thighs now toward the wrists and allowing the heels to drop toward the earth a bit more. Maybe a little soft bend in the knees, almost emulating a micro chair pose within the legs. Take a breath here. And then slowly inhale, go other side. Begin to lift your left foot. And left foot steps forward for that warrior one. So this first section, we're really building some stability and strength. We're drawing up. Foot can step straight forward or out to the side. Knee over ankle. Find your width. Find your spacing forward and backward. And as you begin to rise up, learn if there is a need to change, to adjust, and feel free to do so. Think of extending through the fingers, but really softening the shoulders a little bit so they release into the shoulder joint, those upper arm bones into the shoulder joint. Take another 2 deep breaths right here, feeling the low back. Noticing if we can draw left hip back, right hip forward softly. We'll extend the forward leg a little and a little bit more. And return, keep that cohesive, same work on this side as we bring knee over the ankle, feet press down. Beautiful. Let's open up. Warrior two. Back foot will likely open a little bit, but today we won't get stuck on making them 90 degrees. So don't get stuck there. If we simply think of inviting that back foot to open a bit, where does it land? We'll go with that. Lift the toes of that back foot here. Yeah, find that lift in the inner arch again, that inner line of the hip and thigh engaging, full breath. And then we're going to take this into triangle, slowly extend that forward leg, lift that front kneecap up, hips stable and ribs drawing up from the hips will begin to reach forward. Keeping the back, tailbone to crown neutral, we find our way over. Stop when the stopping is good. Yeah, so if your spine is in line with the back leg, arms can stay floating, or we express from the shoulders to bring those left fingers down to block or leg. Right arm up. Eyes can be focused at the side wall, or here, the thicket beside us, or maybe toward that right hand. Feet draw magnetically one toward the other as we lengthen the spine and breathe. And then we'll inhale, begin to move back into that warrior two. Rise, integrity, hips and core, and we'll bring knee over the ankle. Extend out, find that purchase, feet pressing into the earth. And then we're moving into our plank. So with exhalation, softening at the hip in the front, rolling off of that back heel, left hand then right to the earth. Maybe we take that left foot out to the side, step back, or single step back to plank position. Full breath in. Full breath out. Exhale, down facing dog. Just 2 beats here. Look between the feet, lift the hips. And we're not going into child's pose, so don't necessarily hear that from what I say next. Begin to lower your knees. Toes point back, yes, almost like a child's pose approach. We'll then begin to walk the hands in and come to diamond pose. I've heard this have about 1 million different names. Essentially, we're sitting on our heels. If this one is not possible, we're in the hips here, so you might be a little higher, or toes could be curled under if that supports this posture. So our intention is to move from that down dog into this upright position. Allow a little anchored feeling, we'll say it that way, in the hips. Hands can rest on the thighs here. If you've got props and you'd like to sit right on a block or blanket under the crook of the knees, these are really sweet options to prop this one. So take a few breaths, neutral tail to crown. Full breath in, full breath out. Feel both hips now. I'm going to say it this way again. Feel into your low back and hips. With our inhalation, we'll come all fours, tabletop. So think of it, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Take a few simple circles. Keep it organic. Shoulders are rolling over the wrists, hips rolling over the knees in rounded shapes or rounded-ish shapes. And other side, and some really like to find a little lateral bend. So if that's you, feel free once in a while or every time you go to build in a little side bend as we move here. So see how that comes to you. Come slowly to stillness. Breath in first. Imagine the top of the head were to push into a wall. Hips sent back, navel drawn towards spine. Spine does not move from that neutral position. Taking inhalation, cow pose, begin to lift the sit bones. Belly fills and falls, heart lengthening and lifting, neck feeling spacious and long. With exhalation, press into the hands, begin to shift the eyes back so we look toward the space between knees or toward the navel, finding that cat, cow here. So inhale with your breath in, finding that wave of arch through the spine, and as you exhale, lifting the navel and lifting heart to the sky as you press hands into the mat. Follow your own breath here a few rounds, really becoming keenly aware. The whole body, breath and body together. And today, as we've decided, hips and back. Come slowly to stillness, full breath in, full breath out. Take your exhalation back to Balasana. Consider starting with forearms beneath the forehead for child's pose. Or fists could be stacked here. And this will just let us tap into some very real physics, yeah? The hips will be differently placed. So when we move the skeleton, different impact on the muscles. And then if it comes to you, feel the distinction between this, or maybe you say, nope, here I stay, option to extend the arms and lower the head to the earth. Feeling the chest, the heart come a little closer to the ground now. Take a few deep breaths here. Really allow that undulation of our breath, that movement, that waving movement, move now into the back body. In a very real way, the filling of the lungs can move those back ribs and the muscles there around. So breathe low and wave the breath up. Slowly, slowly, rooting hands will begin to lift. Come toes under, down facing dog. Shift the hips back, root through the hands. Begin to draw up. Down facing. And if you've been with me a while, it's pretty rare, but we're going back into warrior two. So take your inhale, right foot up, and we might take a single step, several steps forward or out to the side. Position that left foot so we're maybe thinking L shape, but don't get too stuck on that. And then we can take that left arm up and back. So a little windmill action for the arms. See that your forward knee is right over the ankle. And of course, this will change the position of the thigh bone, that femur in the hip. Take a few breaths, release and relax the neck and the tops of the shoulders. So I was recently reading one of my old yoga texts that says to practice away from insects, Kathy. Now we know why. Take a breath here. We're going to inhale, take that forward hand up, back hand to the leg behind, low body remaining strong, heart lifting. Full breath here. Side angle, passing through neutral as we come to stack head over tailbone and extend the arms out. Press into the feet, feel that cohesive center body, and we'll slowly begin to lower that forward, that right elbow. Left elbow, are we on our left side? Right side, maybe. We'll reach up first. Bring your fingers together. So pinky, hands are all together. And then we're extending that topmost hand over the forward toes. Think of reaching from the outer edge of the back foot into the pinky of the hand. See what it feels like to turn that palm to face the space behind your body. Yeah, so palm facing behind, same direction, as your back. Beautiful. Take another breath here. Go ahead and feel into that side body and slowly bring that top arm back up to 90 degrees, so reach into the sky. Notice the change in the side waist and the hip, and we'll begin to lift up, come up. Let's take hands to the side waist, turn forward. Maybe if you like a high lunge, or if you don't like it, but it's useful to you, you come off of the back heel, root through forward foot, a few steps or single step, come forward. Take a little shifting side to side. Full breath in, full breath out. Feet can stay this width or come closer. Could come as close as a fist worth of space apart, or big toe mounds touching, your choice. Begin to find that nice, slight extension through the back. So we're opening the front ribs a little bit. Knees are softening. They're really, after you guys say, they're feeling the good energy they want to share. Inhale, we'll begin to reach up. Lengthen. So we're coming back into this side crescent after we go next side with that work. So don't make this your biggest. We'll come back for it. Lengthening, that's send hips over to the left, reach hands to the right. This one I can mirror, so you can just follow me like in a mirror. Take a few breaths right here. Inhale, wave up, pressing through feet. Find that deep integrity at center. Other side. Breath into that outside of the crescent. One side here is shortening. Muscles are working, contracting. One side, gaining all that freedom. Begin to lift up, come up. Exhale, release the arms. Soften the knees a little bit. Begin to roll the shoulders. So when I said that about crescent, I would love for you guys to think about what that means for the lifetime of your practice, not always starting on one side. If you've been with me a long time, you know I switch lead foot all the time. And that's why, because we sail out with sidedness if we always go one side. So I didn't need to tell you that, that's common sense, but here we go. All right, so let's come, take a breath in, begin to reach up. Exhale, draw the abdomen in, support low back, soften knees. So that means take a little bend, forward fold, lead with the chest, head heavy, shoulders heavy. Inhale, draw halfway lift. Take hands right up to the shins today. Press hands into the legs, keep the knees a bit bent as you send sit bones back, crown forward, breath in. Breath out, exhaling. Let's take hands to the earth, walk feet back, take plank. Breath here. Exhale, shift hips up and back, down facing dog. Down facing dog. So I moved on my mat and was mirroring, so we need to go other side. What does that mean for our lead foot? Hive brain. Do we know which one's coming forward? Okay. I think we're left. I think I stayed traditionalist. So that's inhale, take the left foot toward the sky. I believe so. That feels about right. And then we'll begin to step forward. Coming into position for that warrior two, root down, inhale. Yeah, that's correct. We'll bring that right arm up and back, left arm forward. Yeah, this is a new view, right? New view. Beautiful. Good. That's how we know. So I already looked at this just a second ago. Knee over ankle. See that that's true, and find a little freedom in the hips. It might be that we're about 45 hips and pelvis. That would be fine. Take the back toes, lift them. Explore that rootedness, that Padabandha, back foot grip on the earth, arms extended. Press down into the feet, low body rooting into the earth. We'll inhale and begin to reach into that reverse. So thinking of moving organically, and if you like to get intellectual about your poses, as I often do, half side bend, half back bend might come into your thought. Begin to lift, find that neutral, steady, and then we're moving into the side angle. So really light connection of that left elbow and thigh. We reach the arm up. Bring the fingers together for this. Yeah. So fingers nestled to their neighboring fingers. We can begin to reach over, and we lifted those back toes. Find that bind, hand or foot and mat together. Think of turning that palm to face the space behind. Again, it doesn't have to be a real rotation of our skeleton. Palm facing same direction as our back, right? So the other way, Barb, spin your hand the other way, so thumb down. Yeah, and then keep going. Yeah, beautiful. Other way. Yeah, there you go. Reaching through the pinky, elbow, yeah, there you go, beautiful. Elbow extended. Take another breath. And then we're gonna just break that chain of muscles, bring the arm to reach for the sky, and feel some of the energy just kind of seep out of the side. We'll slowly come up. Begin to bring the hand to the side waist, anchor through forward foot. We're stepping forward. So I promised some deeper side bends or different side bends. So find a nice spot for you where feet are even on the earth and close together. Take a few breaths here. See that knees can move. They're not locked up, but maybe take a little mini chair and then press the legs most of the way straight. So think of that, feel that work in your knees. Release the shoulders. Inhaling will come up, lengthen. Let's go, exhale, hips to the left, reach hands to the right, and lift the eyes. So this could mean we're moving the neck. Maybe neck is totally in line with the upper spine without rotation, yeah? So let's go ahead, separate the hands, but keep that left side nice and long. Separate the hands, slowly bring that right hand down to the inside leg, and we're going to take a bend in that right knee. Just a slight bend, and think of shortening that right side waist, lifting that hip bone up. We're feeling into our body, so there's no compromise. We're not going to work so hard to free the low back that we feel something undesirable in other parts of the body, right? So think of lengthening that top arm. If we bend the elbow and we're over here, maybe we explore reaching right up from the shoulder, something different, yeah? So slowly begin to release, come up. Allow for a few slow breaths here. Notice left side and right side. Inhale, arms both to the sky. Lengthen, exhale, hips move to the right, hands to the left. Feeling openness across the chest. Let the hands slowly part. And we'll begin to bring that left hand to the side leg. Soften that left knee. And again, it doesn't mean big movement all the time for our skeleton. Muscular activation. We're lifting that outer hip toward the low side left ribs. Full breath here. And inhale. Begin to lift, release that. Take a few rolls for the shoulders. Let's step the feet neutrally, so that means for many bodies, about under the shoulders. Take a few more of those movements, and with arms relaxed and neutral, think of hugging the shoulders, and don't go big, just go moderate, together in front of the heart, and then shoulders draw together, opening the heart, pressing the shoulders back. Take just a few rounds like that. Yeah. And keep the navel drawing in toward the spine and up its length, so we're nice and supported. Bandha's working. And release the shoulders. Come front of the mat, empty space behind. Going to move through a few rounds of salutation now. I'm a realist, so it's very sunny. It might be different for the folks on camera, but here it's really sunny and warm, so honor that reality, yeah? Later with hydration and a little rest, but right now, with breath, finding your own rhythm and pace. Inhale. Coming from a Samasthiti, we'll reach the arms up, salute. Exhale, draw navel towards spine, knees can soften, lead with the chest, we fold, forward fold. So honor your back. The whole back body can stretch here as we release the head. Maybe this means knees are bent. We'll come back for the hamstrings and the calves, yeah? Share this with the entire back of the body. Take another breath here. And this won't be our only round of salutation. Inhale, come halfway to lift, hands to the legs or pressing together in front of the heart. I find that a nice way to feel our shoulder blades and neutralize them. Take a breath here. Knees bending, exhale, hands to the earth, feet back, plank position. Holding the earth away, breath in, power. Exhale, pressing the earth away. Strong through the center, side waist, slow back. Today we'll go both knees down to the earth. We're going that first round a little differently, both knees to the earth. So see if you can keep straight line. So we're essentially kneeling in plank. Knees to hips to crown, still straight line. Exhale, elbows bend and move back as we lower the chin and chest, then hips. So chin down, chest down, lie down. Inhale, baby cobra. So we baby in terms of the skeleton, that's the size, but the oomph and fire can be of your making. So press lightly into the fingertips or lift the hands. What would that experience be like? If you ever try that, something like that, lift, and you say, no, thank you, hands go back down. Yeah, take a breath here. We'll begin to wave the chin and chest closer to the earth. And as we find our way up, if we find that we do not go, hands could widen out and step back. A little more challenging to keep them where they are as we lift the hips. Then chin and chest, toes under, exhale, down facing dog. Take 3 deep breaths here. Heels lowering toward the mat. Each exhalation, heels gently rooting down as we draw the abdomen in, lift the hips away from the wrists. So some hop, which is nice for the lymphatic system, that gentle float forward. If that's part of your practice, that's on the table. Otherwise, we'll be stepping forward. So step or float forward, come halfway to stand. Lengthen here. Exhale, knees soften as we approach the fold, and then you can decide if you want to tune it up, right? So we come into that well-positioned skeleton, and then we begin that conversation with our muscles to see what else might be necessary now. Maybe If hands are on the earth, we press into the fingertips, lift the sit bones away from the heels. Think of the torso coming toward the thighs. And these are first thoughts, exploration, and slowly the body, the neurological system, the muscles will open doors for us. Take a breath in their own time, right? Exhale, press to the earth. We begin to rise, inhaling as we come up head above heart. So we get the best of that pranic lift with inhalation, honoring our very real human circulation. Exhale, let's press hands together and bring hands in front of the heart. Let the thumbs gently rest on the sternum. Full breath in, full breath out. Release the jaw, the sides of the neck. We're going again, maybe a little more speed as we go, but maybe not, up to you, yeah? Inhale, let's extend, lift up. Salute, exhale, lead with the chest, knees soften, come to forward fold, and then maybe you commit to more extension of the legs. Inhaling, draw halfway lift. Exhaling, hands root to the earth, little steps, big steps, or light float with softened elbows. Feet back to plank. Take a breath here. Keep that steadiness with you as you find your way down, lowering, maybe through chaturanga, elbows coming in, or shoulders in line with the elbows, or one or both knees to the earth as you lower and inhale into upward facing dog, lifting the heart if that's for you, or if it's better today, elbows under the shoulders. In Sphinx, Cobra, another good option. If you go into that Sphinx, root down to the forearms, elbows drawn back and out. In both of these poses, lift the ears from the shoulders, lift the sternum. Find that cohesiveness in the hips once again that we've worked on today. Take another breath here. And then, if we're in Sphinx, we'll step the hands back, toes under. You can rise through tabletop or straight away press the earth away and lift downward facing. Take a few breaths right here. If you're not quite finding straight line from wrist to hips, think of the heart melting toward the big toes a little bit as you lift sit bones toward the sky and release the heels. Neck here, we hope is pretty neutral and free. Eyes to the front, feet forward, halfway standing, little steps, big steps, or float halfway to stand. Lengthen here. Beautiful. Lengthen here. Exhale to your fold. Breath in. Breath out. Inhale, gather that energy. Exhale, send it into the feet, into the mat, and begin to rise. Inhaling as head comes above heart. Extend the arms, soften shoulders, and hands meet. Come in front of the chest. Full breath in. Full breath out. Jaw, sides of the neck, forehead, soften. Take another full breath in. Full breath out. Release the arms and turn the palms to face front. Let's step feet, neutral stance once again. Widen beneath the shoulders. So I refuse to shortcut Shavasana today, so 2 rounds of salutation will do. There's plenty of sun energy to make up for that, let's begin to shift here a little bit. Maybe some hatha hip circles, just noticing, kind of like we did on all fours. A little movement organically through the hips, and this also is a nice opportunity to come asymmetrically into that hip socket. So moving one side and the other, and come to stillness. Take a breath in, full breath out. Anchor the eyes on a still spot, eye level or a little higher. Some nice flowers as an option here. Notice if your feet are on the optimal spot on your mat, or if you need to on this natural earth, shift around for balance. We're coming today into fig pose. Though if your heart, your energy, and your body brings you to Nadarajasana, and that's in your practice, that's also an option. So if it grows that way, you can let it grow. Let's bring feet under the hip joints, or ever so slightly closer. Beginning, let's go left foot today, So over the lifetime of our practice, if we could switch sides as we start, all the better. Let's begin to lift our left foot, make some big circles with the toes. Already coming into that balancing center in the brain in other direction. Let's spread the toes, root through the ball of the foot, and set all 4 corners of the foot on the earth. Begin to soften that left knee and come hip over heel, pressing the leg straight. So right now we have a natural gate space between that forward foot, back foot, weight over front leg, yeah? So from here, think of lifting the kneecap, knee engaged but not locked. Let's begin to think of an imaginary axle across the hips, the pelvis will stay neutral as we move those right toes back a bit. So we're still touching the earth. Inhale, reach left arm to the sky, and reach the right arm out, palm facing the earth. Yeah, so it's like warrior two arms just for that one hand. Begin to draw the abdomen in, core body working to stabilize this balance. And we might stay right here and find that we're already doing a lot for our balance, and we can breathe here. Eyes fixed. Option to lift the back toes, keeping that leg neutral. So knee, toes still in that forward earth pointing plane. Take a breath here. You can think of just gently lifting that left thigh up to the hip crease and slightly engaging right glutes so hips remain square. And if Nadarajasana is for you, that King Dancer, I'll leave that to you today. Take another breath or two, or if you want to come into a deeper quad stretch but you don't need to move the spine, option to catch the back heel, heel towards seat, and breathe into that right quad for a few breaths. And if you ever need to touch down, reset, and come into that, ever an option. Slowly find your release. Step down. Honor that root leg with a little movement. I am one that likes to turn the toes down. That's just me. It's a nice option sometimes. It's a very yin practice, yeah. And then we'll come again, find that nice spot for our balance. Make sure we're moving a little bit, so make sure we're well placed. And then right foot this time, begin to lift up. Draw those circles with the right toes. Find the four corners, connection to the earth, toes spreading a little bit and setting down. Soften the knee. Even now, drawing on that imaginary axis, or axle rather, imagery, we'll come hip over heel and begin to shift our weight over that right leg. Notice orientation. Maybe you take a visual assessment. Are my toes still pointing forward? If I were to shift my weight back on that back leg, feet are still like on train tracks, yeah? And we're going to keep it that way. As we inhale, reach the right arm up, left arm out to the side, palm down. Draw on those bandhas, low ab drawing in and up, and then we can begin to move those toes back. Explore the lift, right? Our collective intention was that really easeful exploration in the interest of stability and freedom. Eyes fixed, breath steady. And if you determine you really need to invite that left quad into some more openness, you could do that moving the leg back and or heel coming in toward the hip, Nadarajasana if that's you today. And as you and the balance are done with each other, you can slowly begin to release. That's fine to admit when we're done with things. We'll come down, feel the hips. If you would like to take a vinyasa down, feel very free. I'm going to sit. So if vinyasing is your path today, take it, come down. Otherwise, you can lower to your seat. If you're practicing lowering no hands, you might go that way. Yeah. Take a few deep breaths right here. We're moving into our Janu Shirshasana, which is a one-leg forward fold, and the beauty of this is you'll see it a number of different ways. In Yin, we really go just toward the space between the thigh bones. Today, though, we're going to take it this way. Think of right leg long, sole of the left foot to the inner leg, maybe that's thigh or a little lower. And when we start this, the hips are square to the back edge of the mat, so they're not displaced one from the other. We'll inhale, begin to reach up. Turn and point your sternum toward that right knee. Knee could be bent. We could have a generous bend or a slight bend in the knee. Maybe you start with that slight bend and breathe into the extension. Reach the fingers up, and as you exhale, begin to draw over the leg. There'll be a slight rooting of that far away heel into the earth. And we're thinking of sternum orienting toward the leg here. Yeah. Crown extending toward the space over toes could be a thought. How could we hold and neutralized low back without too much oomph, so we honor the energy of this posture. Maybe take the thought of breathing into the left side of the low back, that bent leg side of the low back, that we're actually moving away from a bit. If you want to deepen that, you might take that left hand to cross over outside and lay over your right hand. Inhale, slowly lift, come up. We won't stay. Take the briefest essence of cobbler. We won't stay here just now. Bring the foot in, lift the heart, and then slow extension of the left leg. Same good work, other side. Toe to the sky, kneecap to the sky. Inhale, we extend, reach up. Spin the heart that maybe millimeter or two, so we're heart toward the long leg. Little rooting through heel. We begin to draw over, lengthening, supporting without gripping in the low back. So breath and openness into that right side of the low back now. Binding to the leg, maybe resting hands on the earth. And as we feel into the body in this pose, option to stay with our breath, back off of anything, or take that right hand to cross over onto the left outside of the leg. Yeah. Follow that line of energy through that open side of the body with your breath, with the very real filling and emptying of the lungs. Inhaling slowly, step that hand back, walk the hands back in, we come up. All right, so admittedly, there's a pose that I really want us to do, and it might mean some jockeying around on your mat so that you're not laying your face in the grass. So if you're doing this later on at home, you'll be fine. But here, we might have to move around a little bit. So we're going to go, let's do it this way. Turn so you're angled, so your left hip is all the way to the edge of your mat, right feet to the other long edge of your mat, and you're about a 45 on your mat. We'll try it that way and see how it goes. We're going into what I call the pigeonish position. It is not full pigeon, but if you care to take it there, and that is in agreement with your whole body, that's obviously fine. Begin to take that left knee to the earth, flex the left foot, and we're going to slide the right leg back. So we're not working with props. I don't have the gift of handing out props today. So it could be that the inner side of that right knee, outer left knee are about on the earth, and then we walk the hands to the earth, and they could walk any distance forward. You could come down to the forearms, and if you care to extend the back leg further, feel free to explore that positioning for your hip. So we could certainly keep a big bend in the back knee, but soften that right hip to the earth. Do keep a little flexion in that left foot. So toes to the front, knee then is protected, and we're activating some different aspects of the hips here. So we could be really heavy on that left hip. If that calls to you today, what happens if you think of shifting a little bit over into that outer right hip? Just make sure that forward knee again is actively protected by front foot flexion. So if you're not sure what front foot flexion is, and I just keep saying it to you all the time, toes toward the shin. Take about 3 or 4 deep breaths more right here. Maybe for you, you say it's 5 or 6 today, and that's totally fine. So if you're ready or you need another 2 breaths, we're going to begin to approach our lift. Come up. Come heavy onto that left hip, bending right knee, bring the leg around. And we'll take the hips to the right side of the mat, angle ourselves about 45. And then we can begin to point those right toes forward, outer leg coming to the earth, left leg coming back to partial or fairly generous extension. So we find, and in traditional pigeon, there are very specific ways we place the leg, but today I'd like it to be more organic. That's why I added the ish, pigeon-ish. Yeah, and when we're at home, what's really nice if you want to try this again is to do it on a stack of pillows. So we have our whole abdomen and torso really held up. It's a really wonderful place to breathe. So take that easeful exploration of the hips low back. Breath is full. You might feel, again, inclined to extend that back leg a little bit more. Maybe you feel today like it would be wise to see what the experience is of a little more heaviness in that left hip. And then come back at will. Take a few deep breaths here. And as you become ready, we'll press hands into the earth and rise up. And bring that leg around. So I have, I kvetched about technology, but I have the gift of this watch that told me it's about time for our Shavasana. So today, and just we have that full awareness, let's carry it with us. I invite us to come down. I invite you to come down and take a few breaths. Maybe a few is one. Maybe it's as many as 10, but not more, in reclining cobbler. And so for this one, I find that as we begin to move on to our backs, we're going to go into a gentle bridge first. So that's just how we're sailing into Shavas, to be clear. So get excited, but also bridge first. So when we come down to this, because we'll be on our backs, I want you to see, for some, feet can be far away. Maybe you take a few breaths, moving the feet in and experiencing that difference and find your sweet spot. Where does it honor that Shavas energy? You can always take fists under the thighs here, even when we don't have props to hold us. Other option will be to make a triangle with the hands and bring them right overhead. That is going to move our spine. So remember, no compromising one thing for the other. Hands could be here or wider. Where would we feel comfortable, long, and free in the spine? So let's come down and take a few of those rounds, Apanasana into bridge, yeah? So as you begin to lower, and you can move through Navasana, we didn't get there today. That wasn't our prime focus, yeah? So Apanasana, reverse child's pose, and then feet down, palms to the sky, gentle bridge. So if you're one that needs to hold bridge pose, do that first. Yeah, and then begin to move, inhaling into the bridge, maybe about the count of 3. Exhale to lower, knees coming in, about the count of 4. So we inhale, open the front of the body, lift the hips, feet press into the earth. Exhaling, hips down, knees to the chest. And don't take that too literally, that's just the aim, the direction. It's not necessarily the end of the pose for us. Keep in your keen awareness that collective intention to develop ease and stability together, that blend of sukha and sthira in our whole practice, in these poses, and even within our intentions for each individual practice. So follow your own energy today. Maybe you care to end in Apanasana and then come into that easy reclined cobbler. Maybe you really need to end in bridge and then lower down. So follow your own pranic signals, your own energy. And then we'll bring the soles of the feet close together. Take them a little bit further away from you than you sometimes would. And begin to allow the outer knees to the earth. Slowly, maybe you move the feet a little bit closer and closer. And if you ever passed the point of plenty and it was better where you were, we simply go back. Take a few deep breaths right here. And when you find your end point, take those 3, 4, 5, as many as 10 breaths. Experience your breath. We probably have all seen images of the human lungs. I love those that also mimic the appearance of trees, yeah, shaped like lungs, those tree branches. So envision your own lungs within your body, drawing in energy, releasing the byproduct of our breath, the byproducts of our practice. And think of filling the whole lungs. So that yogic breath, and if you're still in that cobbler, slowly begin to release it, coming into comfortable shavasana. Fill low, almost as if that breath could move into the cavity at the hips and pelvis and move up from there into the ribs. Filling the area of the heart. Even imagining we could fill up to the area of the collarbone, expanding the lungs. We expand the ribs. Feel that undulation through the back. Doing this, invite the breath to slow. We're already breathing very intentionally with comfortable depth. Breathing in full. Breathing out all the way. Maybe today you can maintain this felt experience of your breath, but just now let go of any effort. Allow the mind to rest in the experience of sensation in the body. The warm sun on the skin, maybe hot feeling on the skin. Heaviness in the muscles, depth and nourishment in the experience of breath. Allowing now pure awareness without doing. Now only being here in this moment on this mat that cradles us and the steady earth beneath. Feeling beneath you that steady support, and feeling above and around you open space, expansive freedom. Allow for another organic breath in this way. Feel a little deeper pause. Exhale, let the breath go. And again, inhale, fill up, pause. Exhale, empty all the way and settle into relaxed organic breath. Begin to gently waken and move your physical being, fingers, toes. Definitely today take the opportunity to turn the head side to side as shoulders remain heavy. Maybe you extend the arms, a good old get out of bed stretch, reaching the arms long overhead. And if there's any other pose the clock did not let us get to in this practice today, and you need it, you could take that now. Maybe that's a little torso twist, knees to one side and the other. We did do a couple of poses in that family, but feel free. And then slowly let's make our way onto our side. Again, there are different reasons to roll right or left. Today, follow your own energy. Take a few breaths on your side, allowing for that fullest integration of our practice, all of our efforts, all of our openness to this work, integrating together. And then find an inhalation with which to press the earth away and come to a seated position. Let's go ahead today, left palm to the sky, right palm to the earth. A few breaths just here. And then we can unify, bring the hands palm to palm in front of the heart. I thank you for your diligent practice. We did a lot of warrior work today. That's definitely something to note that you did. So thank you for all of your efforts, your presence, and your energy. Joining with our energy, may all of your work serve you. And I leave you with Namaste. Namaste, Namaskaram. Thank you, friends. And good hydration today. Today I probably don't need to say it, but I always will. And I would say that later on in the day as you go through, if you feel the need to go into other hip opening things, you can kind of build on that. But today,